everyone, it's Maki here. A new member of the Gundam family has been announced Rogue Orbit. As I mentioned in a previous episode, I'm really excited about this project. The idea is to pilot a giant robot and take on enormous enemies. Many people have noticed similarities to the popular game Armored Core. Others have said that scenes of battling monster-like enemies resemble the Monster Hunter or Horizon series. This time, let's take a closer look at the footage shown in the promotional video. We might be able to uncover some hints about the details that fans have been curious about. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider joining the membership for just 99 cents a month. As a thank you, you'll receive a name badge and exclusive comment stamps. Now then, let's begin the analysis. The video opens with a wide shot of a field of sunflowers filling the screen. A narrator then says something along the lines of apparently on Earth, people used to tell the time by the seasons instead of by sirens. It seems that the narrator does not live on Earth. They may be living in one of the space colonies that fans of the anime series Gundam are so familiar with. However, the idea of sirens telling the time is rather strange. A siren is, of course, a sound used to warn people of danger. Using that kind of sound on a regular basis does not fit well with the idea of everyday life. High-pitched loud sounds serve as danger signals for living creatures in general, and repeated exposure to them on a daily basis would be extremely stressful. In other words, the narrator appears to be living in a world where normal life has already been destroyed. Rather than a story in which enemies suddenly invade a peaceful everyday existence, it seems more likely that the setting begins after that existence has already been shattered. The place where all the sunflowers are blooming looks like a factory or a military base. Why is that? A little later in the trailer, the narrator says here, the only choice is to stay hidden and keep your head down. This does not sound like an environment where people can casually spend their time planting flower seeds. Could this place be a ruin? Perhaps seeds that had been preserved there spread uncontrollably after human management disappeared. Personally, I get the feeling that the vast sea of sunflowers has a deeper meaning as well. A mysterious enemy appears. Only part of its body is visible on screen. Let's take a closer look at the background. What we can see appears to be outer space or night sky. Since the opening narration mentions that on Earth, the seasons tell people the time, it is likely that the scenery outside is actually space. It looks as though a glass-like barrier separates outer space from the inhabited area. If you look closely, you can see that the edge of this structure is glowing blue. This blue light matches the color of the glow emitted by the mobile suits. Could this be similar to the technology seen in the Star Wars series, where an energy shield seals off the vacuum of space? If it were just ordinary glass, there would be little reason for it to glow. This would be particularly pertinent in a situation where, according to the narration, people are forced to stay hidden and keep their heads down. Then we move to the next scene. With the sounds of soldiers fighting echoing in the background, we see a woman observing a monitor. She does not appear to be speaking with anyone via a receiver or communication device. This suggests that she is probably not a commander and may not even be military personnel. Could she be the same person who delivers the narration? At this point, we simply don't know. Then, we move on to the next scene. A battle begins between the enemy and the mobile suit. The enemy projects a light resembling a laser sight. The mobile suit only takes action after detecting the laser. In other words, the pilot knows that the enemy will attack after identifying its target with a laser sight. If it were an unfamiliar phenomenon, the pilot would likely begin evasive maneuvers immediately. This suggests that the footage shown in the promotional video is probably not the first time that humanity has encountered these creatures. Humanity has fought them many times before. The use of a laser sight also feels extremely mechanical. I'm not a biology expert, but I did some research on the subject. As far as I could ascertain, there are no creatures on Earth that hunt using laser-like beams of light. While some animals use ultrasonic waves and other sensory methods, none appear to use light as a laser sight for hunting. Could these enemies be lens forms that originated somewhere other than Earth? Or are they artificial organisms created using machinery as their foundation? Some viewers may be reminded of the machine beasts that appear in the Horizon series. The mobile suit closes in on the enemy. The source of the laser sight appears to be a circular organ, located in the center of what looks like its face. It resembles a one-eyed monster. This gives the impression that it has inherited the iconic mono-eye element seen on the Zaku units from the Gundam series. The enemy emits a red glow from its body. This contrasts with the blue light emitted by the mobile suits. This straightforward visual design choice makes it easy for players to recognize that red means enemy. The mobile suit's face resembles a visor or goggles, similar to those seen in the Gym series. In the Gundam franchise, this design trait is often associated with mass-produced mobile suits that serve supporting roles rather than starring ones. The mobile suit strikes the enemy with its arm and knocks it away. It then uses a gun to destroy what appears to be the creature's head. A glowing red liquid sprays out like blood. In this scene, the weapon is fired repeatedly. On the battlefield, ammunition is an extremely valuable resource. Wasting it can lead directly to defeat. Yet the pilot fires multiple shots at the target. Has the pilot lost their composure? Has humanity still not fully figured out the characteristics of the enemy? Or are the firearms used by humanity simply not powerful enough, making sustained fire the only effective tactic? It's an intriguing scene that raises many questions. In the next scene, an enormous enemy appears. The mobile suits are easily destroyed. Then the Gundam makes its entrance. Let's take a look at its legs. They feature thin, support-like structures covered by components that resemble thruster housings. This is a feature not found on mobile suits from the Universal Century series. Some fans have been debating whether the story takes place within the Universal Century timeline. One argument is that, much like Requiem for Vengeance, the designs may have been heavily reimagined, but the setting remains within the Universal Century. However, this thruster design does not exist anywhere in the Universal Century timeline. It does not appear in G7, which depicts the distant future of the Universal Century, nor in Turn A Gundam or Reconquista in G. Therefore, it seems far more likely that Rogue Orbit takes place outside the Universal Century timeline. Another piece of evidence worth mentioning is the following scene. In this scene, the thrusters emit flames continuously for an extended period of time. In the universal century, it is difficult to carry large quantities of propellant, so thrusters are generally used in short bursts rather than continuously. This detail further supports the idea that the setting is different from the universal century. Might the mobile suits in this world be using something other than conventional propellant to fuel their thrusters? This could be an important clue in understanding the setting and technology of this world. The Gundam's face has finally been revealed. Its distinctive horn and eyes, as well as the red component mounted on its chin, leave a strong impression. Does it not have head-mounted Vulcan guns? Or are those green parts capable of firing laser-like projectiles? The battle against the gigantic enemy begins. Parts resembling funnels can be seen flying around the Gundam. As the official name has not yet been revealed, I will refer to them as funnels in this video. The funnels fire beams. A sphere of energy appears at the muzzle before the beam is discharged. Could this be a characteristic feature of beam weapons in this world? The Gundam attacks what appears to be the enemy's arm. Does the pilot determine that the weapons lack the power to destroy the creature's face directly? Perhaps the beam attacks from the funnels were used to test the enemy's durability. In the next scene, the Gundam generates blue energy around its body. There is also a moment in the gameplay footage where the Gundam emits blue light before accelerating at high speed. This ability may be similar to Transam from the 00 series. Here, the blue energy expands outwards and creates plasma-like effects across the enemy's body. Was this ability used specifically to inflict damage on the target? In the next scene, a beam-like attack is fired from the Gundam. However, a circular ring of light suddenly appears at the point of impact. The next moment, the Gundam launches a sword attack. This could be a wire action mechanic similar to those commonly seen in action games. The enemy is then shown in full view. It really does resemble a one-eyed giant. The Gundam sword appears to generate an even larger beam braid than the physical braid itself. The beam braid easily slices through the enemy's body. The narration says there is only one person who can light up the darkness. The tradition of the Gundam franchise is to depict the Gundam as a powerful weapon that rescues people in desperate situations. Although its appearance is radically different, it still seems to carry the genetic heritage of previous led Gundams. The scene concludes with the Gundam firing what appears to be a beam rifle. Next, gameplay footage is shown. If you watch closely, you will see scenes in which the funnels move away from the Gundam and attack independently. In the promotional video, however, we only see them flying close to the Gundam. As in other Gundam series, it appears that they can operate at a distance from the Gundam and attack enemies independently. Towards the end of the gameplay footage, a large visual effect is also triggered when the player lands an attack just before an enemy attack connects. This is a popular feature in modern action games. As I mentioned in the previous episode, games such as Sekiro and the Jedi series feature systems whereby properly timing a defensive sword action against an enemy attack causes the opponent to lose balance and become vulnerable. There is a good chance that Rogue Orbit includes a similar mechanic. Once the gameplay showcase ends, the promotional video resumes. The trailer concludes with the appearance of the pilot and Haro. What stands out to me is that the design of the Haro appears almost identical to the version that frequently appears in the TV anime series. Although it presents a very different atmosphere to previous Gundam works, the appearance of the familiar hull design reinforces the idea that this story is truly part of the Gundam franchise. Other notable elements include the one-eyed enemies and the Gundam's role as a powerful trump card. It feels like a fresh and innovative project, yet it clearly has the DNA of the Gundam series. Let's support Rogue Orbit together. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you again in the next episode.